Hello, my name is Lainey Russell and I manage the Post-16 Achieving Further programme for Achievement for All. Here we are in February and we're looking now at some of the latest research we need to look at on how we communicate with young people and in actual fact how we communicate generally. We've used a lot of neuroscience and we've looked at quite a lot of the latest research when we put our programme together. So all of our programmes are very current and they bring in the latest information from industry as well as from professionals in a wider, broader context. We have some particular modules of interest at the moment that I think are very current. We have our core strength module, and that looks at what are the core strengths a young person needs in order to be able to function really at a higher level within society. We look at well-being and how important that is nowadays when we look at our mental health, when we look at our well-being, and when we look at the surroundings that we have to work in and quite high pressured areas that we're in. We also look at emotion coaching, which you may have heard me mention before, and all of these three things linked together really find some of the answers that we need when we're trying to work with young people, particularly as there are some myths around young people who are in adolescence, and some of those myths are around hormones. We think they have raging hormones that turn them into demons, don't we? In actual fact, the latest research shows that it has very little to do with hormones, you might be surprised to know, and has much more to do with the way the brain is developing. In actual fact, the neuroscience behind some of this is extremely important and very interesting. Did you know that adolescence has been seen to be between the ages of 14 and can go up to the age of 25? That means that your brain hasn't matured or fully developed until you're in your mid-20s, and some researchers are saying it could be up to as late as 30. One interesting thing to remember is if you're employing staff who are in their 20s, in their early 20s, this also applies to them. So the way you manage people actually is quite important, as well as the way that we manage and teach our students. Young people tend to think in black and white quite a lot of the time before that frontal lobe area of the brain, which is our executive thinking, has fully formed. This part of the brain allows them to look at all the grey areas and to sort information in a different way, but they haven't quite got there yet. So a lot of the time you hear people say things like, I'll treat you like an adult when you start behaving like an adult. And what I always say to people who say that is, actually, it's our job as adults to teach them how to be an adult. They actually don't know how to do that yet. And they swing, if you watch some of the psychologists talk about this, they swing between wanting to still be a child, but then wanting to be an adult, which confuses us as adults if we don't understand why they're doing it. But that's okay, that's them working out their balance in life. So we need to model the behaviour that we want them to adopt. None of that do as I say, don't do as I do. So really important chunk of information for you. That frontal lobe that gives them all that executive thinking hasn't actually formed completely yet. So you are dealing with somebody who may not understand everything that you say. They will look at things in black and white. They don't look at things far into the future, unfortunately, and living with a teenager myself, I understand how that can be quite irritating for us. They don't look at the consequences necessarily of their actions. It doesn't mean they don't understand them, and there's a really fantastic book out at the moment called Brainstorming, and it does actually say that they understand very well what the bad consequences of a decision might be. They just choose to have the good bit because that's where they are in their development. And they're very into fairness and things being just. There's so much I could talk about this subject and so much more I could give you that would help you in your teaching and support of young adolescents. If you'd like to find out more and see what other colleges have done and how they've managed to use this information successfully, then go to our website, contact us by email, look at our social media or ring me directly and I'll have a chat with you about what we could possibly do to help. Thank you.